Well, I was born and brought up pretty much right in this neighborhood here. I guess I was actually born up in Heartland. We lived up in Heartland up there. The little place isn't there anymore, but it's right by the railroad tracks in Heartland. Then we moved down onto the Beans Corner Road, which is where all the Larrys come from anyways, pretty much. Lived down here, and the neighborhood was actually had a bunch of kids that was about our age, you know. Other neighbors had children that was about our age. And we all kind of grew up together right in this neighborhood, so we did everything together, you know. We used to play baseball at nighttime. We had a field up the road up there. We played baseball, and every night we played baseball. All the kids in the neighborhood. The girls and the boys played. Boy, had a good time. Some of the scores was crazy, but you know, it was 47-3 or something, you know, because we used to choose teams. And anyways, that's what we did, you know. We all growed up in this neighborhood together pretty much. I'm about the only one left here now in this neighborhood. Everybody else moved off pretty much. Some from not too far, but I used to work for a farmer up the road. Made a few dollars here and there to spend so I could go to the movies at nighttime down in Pittsfield. I had a movie hall theater, and we used to, well, still does back. And we used to go down. The movies was 50 cents back then. You could get I think a soda for 10 cents. Like if you bought a soda back in the little store on the street there, you could buy a soda for 10 cents, and well, you could buy it for 7 cents if you left the bottle there. But if you took the bottle with you, it was 10 cents. You know, like for a Pepsi or a Coca-Cola or something. They used to have a candy store on Main Street there in Pittsfield called Goriel's. He was a little, I don't know, he was somebody that come from the city, I suppose, at some time or another, and he was a little fella who always had a stub of a cigar in his mouth. And they sold penny candy. You could get, they had a big selection of penny candy there. That was a great treat, go in that store. There was some candy you could get actually, you could get 3 pieces for a penny. So for a nickel you could get 15 pieces of candy. I don't know, they don't even have penny candy I guess anymore, but then of course I went to school up to Heartland Academy when I got older. That was a great time in my life. Actually, I didn't realize it at the time so much, and my folks used to tell me that high school was probably the highlight of your life, and it was. Would have been, because I didn't really like school. I wanted to be out back home and stuff, and hunting and fishing and stuff, and I didn't care too much about being in school, but it would have been the greatest part of my life if I'd have participated more and done things and enjoyed school more, but I didn't, as much as I wished I had. Yeah. And after that, I got married shortly after getting graduating out of high school, and I was in the Army Reserve. We had a school teacher called Wayne Libby. Still lives right in Heartland. He was a captain in the Army Reserve unit up in Dexter, the 946 Transportation Company, I think it was. And the Vietnam War was going on at that time, and they were drafting people. And he told a lot of us fellows that was in his class, he was a history teacher, U.S. history teacher. He told us, he said that more than likely we'd get drafted. And he had some, his Army Reserve unit up there, they were going to bring it up to full strength, and he had a number of openings if any of us was interested in it. He says there was no guarantee that we still wouldn't end up going to Vietnam, but he said that if we did, we'd go as a unit of local people, you know, all of us guys that was in school that we all knew. So a bunch of us joined up, me included, I spent 6 years in the Army Reserve there, and we were on alert one time there and thought we were going, but we never. Actually, I think it was when Nixon stopped the bombing. They were bombing North Vietnam then, and I know there were a lot of protests and stuff going on at that time. And anyways, he stopped the bombing of North Vietnam there, and it changed the course of the war. Thusly, we didn't end up going, I guess, as I remember it. But I know a lot of my friends and stuff that didn't, that did get drafted and stuff, ended up going to Vietnam. None of the local boys. Well, yes, there was one guy in Pittsfield that I knew. Burns Knowlton was one of the first area guys to get killed in Vietnam, and he was a friend of mine. I used to spend nights with him down to Pittsfield there and stuff, and we went to movies and stuff together before. But he was in the Marine Corps. I don't remember just how he got killed, but he did. He was a friend of mine. And then, as I end up marrying my girlfriend from high school there, Georgine Bush. She was a daughter of George W. Bush. Her father's name was. And we lived right here in West Pittsfield all of our life, had 2 children, and they've grown up to be good children, both have grandchildren, and like I said, we still live right here on the Beans Corner Road, and it's actually been a great place to live, really, as far as I'm concerned. It's low-key, and the neighborhood kids, they aren't like quite as many as they used to be, but I still see some neighborhood kids getting together and stuff. But times change, and a lot of it's video games and stuff now as compared to, we didn't have video games back then, of course, but a lot of it's video games now, inside sort of stuff. We always had to make our own sort of games and stuff. And, I don't know, is there any questions that you want to touch on that I didn't get to? Or
do you remember President Jimmy Carter, the peanut farmer?
Yeah, I remember him a little. Yeah, I think he was a good president. Yeah, he still is. He still does a lot of stuff for the United States and other countries and stuff. He's a good Samaritan. Some of these people that get caught by North Korea and some of these other countries, he's the one that goes in there. Him and the other president there, I can't think of his name, Bill Clinton, they go in there and they negotiate, and they do help get those people out of those messes they seem to get into. He's a great president, great citizen, I think, of the United States.
What did you think about 9/11?
It's kind of shocking, really. I was a truck driver for a company I worked for, and I remember I was hauling aggregate, and what aggregate is like stone and gravel. I hauled it for Dragon Products, and I was hauling out of a pit down in Augusta, and I remember going into the pit there, and there's a pit crew that worked in there, and the guy in the loader said something. We all had CB radios, and the guy on the CB radio said the plane had just hit tower in New York City. And we didn't think too much of it. I didn't, I thought it was just an accident that for some reason a plane had run into one of the towers, and then of course for some reason I guess I got the other radio going, generated more interest in it there, and then I started following it then, and You know, because they were covered it on the radio pretty much as to what was going on. But that's where I remember that, because everybody tends to remember where they were, what was when that happened, and I remember first finding out about it on the CB radio on that in my truck that I was in, and then started following it on the radio. And, yeah, you know, it's something you don't really think, you don't even think about until it happens, of course, but it is possible for something like that to go on in this country, you know. And of course, now we've got more or less safeguards against it, and we watch out for it more, but you just assume that, you know, the morality of people is not going to step down to doing something that low. I think it's very underhanded. You know, anybody can kill innocent people, you know. When people are not suspecting that they're going to be attacked, you know, I think it's very underhanded myself.
Do you think the war after that was handled well?
I guess we had to do something, because if you don't do something, they're going to just take and continue doing that sort of thing. You have to, in my opinion, you have to retaliate and show that you can't just start killing innocent citizens without some repercussions. And I sometimes don't like the idea of using ground troops so much. I think we have the technology to do it with air strikes and that sort of thing, without losing life of, you know, young people. I think we have the technology to do it. Other means of putting people in harm's way so much, I guess you'd probably have to some, but
Yeah.
yeah.
How do you feel about our first black president?
I was really excited about Mr. Obama becoming president. I thought he was going to be what we needed for a great change. And I think he could be now if it wasn't for the Congress and the Senate and stuff holding him back. And I don't think whoever's president in there isn't going to make any difference, because it seems to me like they're more interested in fighting and arguing rather than trying for the welfare of the people that they're supposed to be representing. And they shouldn't have two parties. They should only have just one party working for the people of the United States, American taxpayer. We shouldn't pay people to get out and then fight and argue. They're supposed to be looking after our welfare and doing, but they're more or less, I don't know, they look out for the good of their own party, and they don't have the American taxpayer interest. Not the way they should have, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Thank you.
That's the end of the interview.